Hello everybody, we are back to the Subaru today. I am sorry for the mic problems. You're not being able to hear me in the last couple of videos now. I've been trying to figure out why the mic seems to either be shutting off and it's defaulting back to the camera's mic, or it's just getting quieter over time out here in the cold. I really don't know exactly what is going on, but I am trying a couple of different things today. When I move the camera, I got the camera and the mic plugged in all the time, just so the battery doesn't go dead. And when I move it, it seems to be that is when the problem occurs. So I am going to pay more attention if I move it. I don't know if I'm going to be moving it today because we're going to be working here, but if I move it today, I am going to try and pay attention to see if the mic starts to shut down, or the mic shuts down when I move it and plug it back in. I'm thinking that might be the problem. I don't know. That last video may have been a little boring too. Just fast forward through the entire assembly of the long block part of this. So today too, I'm going to try and break down this video a little bit and just explain some things that are going on. You probably saw in the last video, I was using, this is a Bondo block. This is a cheap one that I know is flat. And this is 220. I'm using this for like rough exhaust parts and whatnot. If you watch my last video on the Subaru assembly, you saw me use this quite a bit, even on the head surfaces and stuff. For the head surfaces, I was actually using, I think it was 800 grit sandpaper, wet or dry sandpaper. And all I was doing was just taking off the remnants of the old gasket material. I'm not removing any material, metal whatsoever when I'm doing that. And I'm being very careful not to. I'm just cleaning up the surfaces, making sure gasket material is removed, any high spots, burrs, or junk is taken off, and that these surfaces are just flat and clean for the new gaskets. These rusty exhaust surfaces are not going to clean up nice and shiny metal. But here, again, we are just trying to get a flat, nice surface for that gasket to seal up on. We're just taking off, it's especially steel like this, exhaust parts, they get pretty rusted and pretty rough. You don't take off those high spots on the surfaces. Those high spots will actually hold the exhaust flange away from whatever you're bolting it up to, and it will not make a good seal. And especially on a turbo car, you need all of the exhaust components pre-turbo to seal up perfectly, or else you're losing your exhaust pressure for driving the turbo. These are brand new Subaru gaskets, OEM. The entire gasket set is OEM gaskets. That looks perfect. Yep. Which ones go where? No, yes, maybe. No clue. What? Those two go together. This big son of a bitch must be this one. Just like that. Okay. And I gotta get a couple of fasteners because they're all broke out, stripped out, missing. You can only get 2 in here anyhow. That should be enough. What's next? This is a 1 water tube I was talking about that goes on thermostat housing, and then this goes behind the timing belt cover. So we'll get this on now. These aren't, man, I'll get the right pliers. That, like that. There. This tube sits right there. This is where we got the 210s and then that oddball 12 millimeter. Who knows why? Got a 10 and a 10. And then this 12. Shiny, brand new crank sensor. Just a bit of grease on this outside edge. We don't want it on the bottom towards the crank angle or crank sensor. There. And in this hole just a little bit. The reason I do this is so both the sensor itself doesn't corrode and the aluminum around the sensor, aluminum oxidize. So the aluminum doesn't oxidize and start cramping. It actually squishes or squeezes on that sensor and it'll make the sensor quit working. So both the sensor rusting or the aluminum corroding will squeeze on that sensor and, like I said, make it quit working. That is no bueno. Just like that. And then that bolted up here. I think you guys are in frame here. Just gonna leave this loose for now. I don't want to crush that gasket yet until I know for sure this is going on in the right order. Fairly clean. It's flat. There's a little bit of pitting in here yet. So when I assemble this, and there's crap down in the holes for the bolts yet. I'm gonna run a drill bit down in there just to clean those out. There's old O-rings out. Not too bad. This motor didn't get hot. That's good. Shouldn't have with how low miles were on it. And those rings are really clean-ish. Like I said, because of that little bit of pitting in here, it's not terrible, but it's bad enough where it could seep. What I am going to do is a little RVT. I use gray pretty much for everything on the O-ring itself. We're just going to smear it around and make a mess out of ourselves. Drop this water tube down on it. Maybe. Why is that in the way? Is this not pointing in the right direction? Is it supposed to be like that? Oh. We're going to put one bolt in each end here just to help with alignment. And drop her down. That bolt in. That bolt in. A couple of turns just to hold it. Here are the new bolts and just a dab of blue. And I go to, where is it, torque range. Right there. There. Water tube is on. Now I can tighten up this EGR. Tight. Click. Anyhow, this EGR tube. Clean enough. And that goes down in here like this. Yes. Feel like I should have put this on before I put the exhaust on. Oh well. Now what? Hopefully doesn't put it in the way for a bunch of other stuff. I had these water tubes which came off the top here somehow. Something like that. So we continue on. Now we've got some oil lines to do. Let me see if I can get this through here. Snake down through here. Like that. Up here as well. Get that one started. There, my 17. should be good. That should be good. The bolt that goes in the head must be metering oil. It has, I don't know if that's a filter or if that's like a little check valve in there that only allows oil one way. That banjo goes in the head, and then the banjo that goes in the actual solenoid for the variable valve timing, variable cam timing is just a plain banjo straight through. This spider web of hoses, wires. Oh my gosh. For doing these snap clamps, I am using, these are side cutters, wire cutters. Everybody's got a different term that they use for them. These are some older ones that are pretty dull, and they work good for hooking this and that and just pulling it together like that. Did you guys see that? I'll do it again. So you hook to this side and then you hook on this side of that. So you're hooking on the hook and whatever the other end called, both ends of that, just like that. And I am just squeezing them together until that hook snaps in there, just like that. Get that big heavy chunky stuff off. See again, copper spray, not over the entire gasket, just around the ports. That's where you need it. Good. And good. All right, and make sure everything is set up and plugged in and bolted on underneath here. So once we put that intake on, there's no getting back to anything underneath here. You can see there's still just some dark remnants, some staining basically of the old gasket. When you're sanding, doing that block, you're not trying to resurface or take off the material. You're just looking to clean up the gasket material around the ports themselves, so you got a good seal. Just nice and clean and fresh. All right, which side is forward? That side. Oh, already fighting me. So should I just go on just like this? Just like that. And then I like to take a look around and make sure stuff is in the right places, and you're going to be able to get to things There's nothing pinched, especially in between, like where the gaskets are. Make sure there's no wires, no hoses pinched in there. That's bad. Start from the inside. These bolts, throttle body to head, get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. Now we start hooking up the 4 billion frickin' hoses and stuff on this motor. Oh my gosh. New O-rings on a dipstick tube. Little shot of oil. Good and lubered up. That goes right down in here. I think that's all the way down in there. There. And we'll put that bolt back in. There was no Loctite on these cam bolts, so I don't know, I guess they ain't going dry. All Subaru components. Subaru bolt. So I gotta put this in a vise, let this pin out, and push it back in 3 times to bleed this out. Because when it's shipped, and who knows what orientation. This has to be bled according to their instructions. NTN, Subaru. Mitsubishi. Supposed to be a good belt. Setting the timing on the Subaru. First mark you're looking at, and I'm sorry, there's actually lines on this belt that line up. You can line them up with all these marks all the way around to start from. I already turned it as you saw in the video, so those marks are gone, but where you're looking at, there's this one mark on the crank itself. It lines up with this notch in the oil pump housing. There's also a line in the back on that crank gear. That one lines up, and you come over. This top one lines up with the notch in the timing belt cover right here. And then down, both the intake and exhaust cams have double notches in them that should line up. Over on the exhaust cam, same thing. This notch lines up with the notch in the timing belt cover. Across on this side, same thing. Notch on the top of the intake cam lines up with the notch in the timing belt cover. It's hard to see, but there's double notches in both of these pulleys as well that line up with each other. And then down on the side, same as the other side, there is a notch in the gear and a notch, you can't see it, but there's a notch in the timing belt cover right here as well that line up when you look. So everything is all lined up. Got all new components. This is all new from Subaru. Pulleys, the tensioner from Subaru, the geared pulley, and the small one. And I bled this out on the bench. There's actually a procedure where you put this in a bench upright so the piston is facing up, and you squeeze this piston down and you let it back out 3 times to bleed this from shipping. And after all the timing, everything is all done, you just grab this pin and pull it out and hit the camera with it. You pay more money for an OEM kit, but it comes with everything and everything fits beautifully. There's that. That just goes on right here. You guys remember in the teardown video, there was only 2 bolts in this whole middle cover. The entire thing, there was 2 bolts on the top here. So, Subaru bolts. Brand spanking new. Again, brand new Subaru O-rings. All them's pretty. Them sure is pretty. Do this one first. That'll work. Now, Click. Pull out this old crusty O-ring. Oh yeah, it just broke. And brand new Subaru O-ring. Just like that. A little bit of lube. Stick her down in here. These hard, crusty breather tubes. All new Subaru replacement. See that? Subaru. These 4, 2 for each side breather tubes were $70. Nice pliable brand new hose. That's so nice. That goes right up in here. Since it's facing this way. Instructions? Nah. Red for racing. Hells yeah. Excited to go home. Get a socket to drive that. On bearings, you never want to pound on the race that is floating. You always want to pound on a race that's getting pressed. If this is getting pressed on the shaft, you would want to press on this inner bearing. And since this is getting pressed into the flywheel, we want to press or same thing here. They usually coat these surfaces with oil so they don't rust. Yeah, make sure you get that all off on the before you cinch these bolts down, you just bring this up just so it's touching that clutch disc. And you want to move this alignment tool around just so it just slides in and out nice and easy. It's not going in and bumping against that pilot bearing, and it's not dragging on anything. I always try to do this evenly all the way around. A couple of cranks on each bolt, going around and around. Till that pressure plate makes contact with the flywheel. Torque to spec, and if everything is right, this alignment tool should just barely, just basically fall right out of there, just like that, nice and loose. All right, flywheel's on, clutch, pressure plate, torque down. I don't think we got anything really left besides the turbo. I'm going to rebuild the turbo, and I'm probably going to make a video just for that, just for the turbo rebuild. Try to make it a short video, show you guys what's involved for tearing down, inspecting, and rebuilding a turbo, and get that bolted on here. And I should be able to throw it back in. Well, I got to change the throw-up bearing in the transmission, but yeah, there's nothing left really to this motor, just a turbo. Thank you guys if you made it through this whole video. I'm trying. I think my videos are getting slightly better, but every one is a learning experience. Your guys' suggestions really help. I appreciate them. And yeah, hopefully hopefully you guys keep coming back, keep watching videos. And yeah, watch out for the next one. Like I said, they're going to be rebuilding that turbo. That should be a fun, quick one. Thanks for watching, and have a good day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this.